Well, this is a Fox News alert. Just about 10 minutes ago, there you can see our Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, at the Department of State, where he announced that the United States is withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty as effective tomorrow, February 2nd. Let's bring in Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the President of the United States. She's inside the building. The weather outside, not great. Kellyanne, what does this all mean?
Well, I'm going to allow Secretary Pompeo's statements speak for themselves. He's our chief diplomat. Obviously, he had a big announcement today, didn't leak, and I will let his words speak. But I think in the broader scheme of this president's relations around the globe, he is somebody who's trying to bring peace and prosperity here and abroad, but at the same time, his America First policy extends all the way around the globe as well. And his first duty is to keep us all safe. It's why he's trying to secure the southern border, and it's also why he's trying to negotiate around the globe where appropriate.
Sure. I've been watching people on TV and hearing them on the radio talk about how, this president is never tough on Russia. Well, it looks like we just got tough on Russia.
Yeah, well, he's been tough on Russia for a while, and I'd like to see how they're going to spin this one. This is a president who has put additional sanctions on Russians, on bad actors, where he and his Treasury Department have seen fit. He's expelled 60-plus Russians from this country, shut down 2 of their consulates at last count, and I think pushed back on Putin not once but twice when one of his puppets, Assad in Syria, gassed his own people. When the president saw that, he took action immediately. And so that should not be conflated with the fact that when he wants to meet with Vladimir Putin, as they did several months ago for all the world to see in a joint press conference, they're discussing issues where these 2 major countries maybe can work together to defeat ISIS once and forever. Of course, the territorial caliphate in Syria is all but destroyed. The president just tweeted about these endless wars in Syria and Afghanistan. He promised to get out of them $50 billion a year, a lot of treasure, and more importantly, lives lost. And so I would like to see how they spin this, that maybe he's trying to show this because he's worried about the collusion that doesn't exist. It's really silly. People have to start looking at the facts and the figures about how tough this president has been on Russia, at the same time trying to negotiate peace where he can, and big resolve by 2 major countries where it's appropriate.
Kellyanne, Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey announced this morning that he's going to be running for president. It's a Friday. We're heading into the weekend. What is the administration's reaction to that?
Welcome. The water seems warm. Welcome to dive in, along with, 10, 15, 30 other Democratic candidates. I would ask him a couple of questions today as he runs from my native New Jersey. One is, what's wrong with the candidates that are already in there? What's your objection to Kamala Harris running, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, these others who have already announced, Tulsi Gabbard maybe? If he were a Republican running against him, they would immediately call him a sexist for running against these women in the Democratic field. But I'd also ask him, what exactly have you accomplished that qualifies you to be the commander-in-chief and president of the United States? And being a motivational speaker who's, quote, tinny, the words of David Axelrod, the mastermind behind President Obama's presidential victories, he sort of slammed him today by saying he doesn't really sound like an inspirational leader sometimes. He sounds like more like a motivational speaker who can be tinny. I think people witnessed that when he unloaded for all the cameras to see on now Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Spartacus moment.
Well, his Spartacus moment, but it went beyond that. Remember, he was pretending that he was breaking with protocol in the Senate, that he was going to release confidential emails, and I believe it was Senator Cornyn of Texas reminded him that those had already been released. He also, I think people should go and look at his record in Newark, New Jersey. Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, about 8 or 9 years ago, gave $200 million in matching funds to Newark for its school system, and a whole bunch of that, millions and millions of dollars, went to politically connected consulting firms.
A lot of it didn't pan out.
And I first came upon Cory Booker many years ago when he was a pro-school choice advocate. But the modern Democratic Party, in which he's running for the presidential nomination, has moved so far to the left that he can't even bring himself to continue to help those school children.
Well, Kellyanne, let's talk about the left, because Speaker Nancy Pelosi basically suggested to the president, open up the government and I'm going to negotiate. Yesterday she had a news conference, first one in a while, and said no money for the wall. Do you feel had?
No, not at all. She's revealing who she is, and she's against rank-and-file members in her Democratic conference who were elected in Trump districts. There are 31 of them. 22 of them are freshmen. They and Trump won the same congressional districts. You've got to believe that they represent people who believe border security is national security, think it's a great idea to work on DACA, TPS, to have 2,750 new Border Patrol agents, 75 new immigration judges, and all the support that requires. Also, $800 million to meet humanitarian needs, $800 additional million for technology and drug detection. We just had, at a port of entry, but we just had the largest seizure of fentanyl in the history of this nation. 254 pounds could have killed over 50 million Americans, a street value of $102 million. Yes, it came at a port of entry, but that's the stuff we know about. What about everything we don't know about that's coming?
Luckily, they do scanning at those
ports,
which is the president. And thank you very much. Have a good
Appreciate
weekend.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see what the committee
Super Bowl
comes up.
weekend.
Yep.